I'm here today with a very special review. This is the Anastasia Beverly Hills Modern Renaissance palette. Okay, so before we get into the palette itself, I wanted to let you know that Anastasia Beverly Hills is a cruelty-free brand. That's not really something that they super publicize for some reason. I don't know. I would think you would want everyone to know that you're cruelty-free, but they are cruelty-free. They're not vegan, though. And this palette is the first palette potentially ever, but as long as I've been following makeup and the big brands, this is the first palette that I've seen from them that is a permanent palette. They've had a lot of limited edition ones, like the Amrezy collab and the Self-Made palette and the World Couture palette. This one is not going anywhere. If this is a little bit too expensive for you to like shell out all the money and buy right now, you can wait a little bit. You can save up. You can give yourself some chill time. It's not going anywhere. So here it is. So it's got this really nice like velvet cover on the cardboard packaging, and it is a magnetic closure. And then inside, it comes with actually a really nice brush that has two sides. It's got like a longer bristled, fluffier blending brush, and then like a shorter bristled, more dense blending brush. It's actually really great. Usually brushes that come with eyeshadow palettes are kind of shitty, but this one's really good. Inside of this palette, there are 14 shadows, 11 mattes, and 3 metallics. This palette retails for $55 Canadian, $42 US, and it costs the same price on both the Sephora website and the Anastasia Beverly Hills website, so there's no difference from where you buy it. Before we get into this any further, let's take a peek at the Sephora website just to read about it. What is it? An essential eyeshadow collection with 14 shades and neutral to berry tones. What it does. A present-day take on Renaissance colors, this eye palette features 14 shades that let you create stylish day-to-night looks, from the earthy yellow and ultra matte finish of golden ochre to Primavera's shimmer gold with a metallic finish. This palette's high pigmented shadows are crease and fade resistant and are sure to bring modern elegance to your eye looks. When I think about these sort of eyeshadow looks that are popular, especially on the internet, especially on Pinterest, especially on Instagram, especially on YouTube, these are the colors. Like Anastasia Beverly Hills, the people there, this was so smart because you have all the sort of red and berry tones, and then even some like darker browns and some mid-tone browns, some like warm orangey colors, and then some warm browns. Like this is perfect for what is popular right now. This was so smart of them. I am wearing this on my eyes today, but just a little bit. I put a little bit of the shade Buon Fresco. Is that how you say that? Buon Fresco in my crease, and then a little bit of Tempera on my eyelid. That's it. So you don't have to go super warm with this if you don't want to, but most of the shades in this palette do lean super duper warm. Just to forewarn you in case you don't like warm shades. But even then, I'm a person who typically doesn't like how warm toned things look on me. I'm a very cool tone person, and I love this palette. I have worn every shade in this palette super successfully. I love it all. No part of me regrets buying this palette. It's gorgeous. I will say, though, one of the cons of this palette is that even though every shade is very, very pigmented, like one swipe, you're good, it's very messy. You dip your brush in here and you're going to end up with a ton of powder on your brush, so definitely make sure you knock it off before you take it to your eyes because you're going to get it everywhere. And even then, it's going to make a mess on the palette itself. And that's probably going to make a mess on your face. So I have been doing my eye makeup before my face makeup every day that I use this palette because no matter what I do, I end up with eyeshadow all underneath here. It's a price we pay for beautiful makeup. So yeah, without further ado, I'm going to get into the swatches. I don't have live video this time of me doing my swatches because last time I did that, it was kind of hard to keep it in focus. So this time I just took a big picture. I did the whole top row and took a picture and then did the whole bottom row and then took a picture, and we will just show you it that way so that you can see it super clear and beautiful. But I will let you know right now that every swatch is my finger in the pan, 2 rotations, and then 1 slide down on my arm. No primer on my arm, nothing, just my bare arm skin. And that's it. That's how I do all of my swatches. So, like I said, without further ado, let's get into each shade individually. So the first shade in this palette is called Tempera, and it is described as a velvety beige with an ultra matte finish. The second shade in this palette is called Golden Ochre, and it is described as an earthy yellow with an ultra matte finish. Vermeer is up next, and it is described as an iridescent shell with a metallic finish. Buon Fresco, if I'm saying that right. That's the next shade. It is described as an antique lavender with an ultra matte finish. I would definitely say that this is the only shade in the whole palette that I could say potentially leans sort of cool, just because it is so mauvey, however you want to pronounce that. Antique Bronze is up next, and that is described as a metallic sable with a satin finish. Love Letter is an absolutely stunning color, and that's up next. That's described as a raspberry with an ultra matte finish. Cypress Umber is the last shade in the top row of this palette, and it is unfortunately, inarguably, probably my least used shade in this palette, just because I feel like I have it in every other palette I own. But regardless, it is described as a dark coffee with an ultra matte finish. Jumping down to the beginning of the bottom row now, the first shade in the bottom row is called Raw Sienna, and that is described as a neutral amber with an ultra matte finish. Right beside that one is Burnt Orange, that is described as a deep orange with an ultra matte finish. Primavera is next, and that's probably one of my most used shades in this palette, and it is described as a shimmery gold dust with a metallic finish. Red Ochre is described as a sienna with an ultra matte finish. I would also say that Red Ochre is one of the messiest shades in this palette. Every time I use it, I get it all over the place. Even in the swatch here, I had to kind of wipe off my arm a little bit before I took the picture because it was a messy. Venetian Red is described as a crimson color with an ultra matte finish, and it's just so beautiful. I mean, look at it. I lied before. The next shade, Warm Taupe, is probably my most used shade in this palette. It is described as an earthy gray with an ultra matte finish. It definitely does lean more warm than cool toned, even though it describes itself as being gray, but it is just like the absolutely perfect in my crease transitional type shade for me to use, no matter which kind of eye look I'm going for with this palette. And the very last shade in this palette is called Realgar, I have no idea how to pronounce that, but it is described as a brick with an ultra matte finish. I don't know if I would describe that as brick. Whenever I think brick, I think red, and this is like boom, orange, but I mean, hey, regardless, it's still a very, very nice shade, and I'm glad that I finally have an orange eyeshadow in my collection. And yeah, that's it. That is the Modern Renaissance palette by Anastasia Beverly Hills. I really like it, and even though it was really expensive, I don't regret buying it. It's gorgeous. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure you give it a thumbs up and you subscribe to my channel if you are not subscribed already. If you have any questions or comments or you have ideas for future videos, please feel free to leave them in the comment section below. I would love to hear from you. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye!